Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel for another Wild Whisper Design Team video. Today I'm doing a 12 by 12 traditional layout with a lot of mixed media. So here are the Wild Whisper products I'll be featuring. I have these beautiful sequins from the Adventure Collection, the No Place Like Home stamp set, which I love using in this layout, and then the No Place Like Home 12 by 12 papers. I had a really difficult time choosing which paper to use for this background of my layout, but I really love the one I chose, and I hope you guys do too. So I'm going to try all of them out with my photo here, which is a picture of my mom cuddling my cat and our dog, and it's just really cute. And I thought this home collection was perfect for that. So we have all of these papers, which I've shown you before in my haul video. So if you guys want a closer look at all of these and the Wild Whisper products I just showed you, go over there and check it out. So I was really debating between this yellow or this gray, and then I ended up going with the blue one I originally had. But I plan on using these ones on a different layout because I really love gray and yellow together, so I have an idea for those. So I ended up picking the dark blue, not this one, the dark blue one as my background piece, and I plan on doing some mixed media on top of that. So I don't have a real plan as of right now when I was making this, but I did have an idea of doing a lot of mixed media with some stamping and lots of goodies thrown into the background here. The stamping comes later after I do all of the wet paint and stuff, so hold on to your hats for that. But I will be starting with a background using some navy acrylic paint. Now this acrylic paint has always given me problems. I don't know why I keep it because it's basically water, colored water, I'd say. It's like you know how acrylic paint is sort of thick, like it'll kind of like eventually gloop out. But like this is water, it pours out, which you'll see in a second because I try to put it in a dish. I also got some of my other mixed media supplies, which is a October Afternoon sprinkler and some Inca Gold paint stuff. As you can see, it just dumped out. That's okay. So I'm using a 1-inch foam brush to paint out a section. I really like the rough edges that I put on this. No rhyme or reason to anything I'm doing, just doing what I am. So now I'm going to go clean up this stuff and put it away, and set this over on my desk to dry, and I'm going to map my photo. So I know I want to use this beautiful Wild Whisper paper with the little chevron tile sort of pieces, and I also want to use some white and gray cardstock because I have an idea for the gray cardstock on this layout later as well. So I have the white cardstock, just trimming it down, and then I find my gray cardstock and do another small layer of that. And since I want this patterned paper from Wild Whisper to pop a little bit more, I'm going to grab some foam. And here's a great tip, kids. Cut the layer before you put the foam on the back of it. So you'll see me, I have to measure it out and then cut it freely, which is kind of annoying. So don't put the foam on until your paper's already cut. So I put some fun foam, and then my layers are all put together. So that's basically all the layers I put on my photo here. I thought I was going to do a lot more. Oh wait, no, there is another step later, but that comes way later. But I thought I was going to do like a doily and all that stuff, but I ended up not doing that. And now we're moving on to part of the stamping portion. I want to make a couple embellishments. So I take two stamps. One is just a little doodle of a house, and the other one says Home Sweet Home. And I really love this collection because although it's home themed, you can use it for like family themed. You can use it for tea because there's a lot of tea motifs, and I really like that too. So it's really versatile, and I plan on making some cards with this. I think this set would be so cute to use for dress change cards. So like if you moved and you have to change your address to like your family and friends, to send them cards with these little stamps on them would be adorable. So I'm just going to cut out these stamped images that I did. I stamped them in some Memento black ink because I find it gives a really crisp image with these acrylic stamps. And once I have those cut out, those will be my main embellishments on this layout. The embellishments are minimal because the mixed media I end up doing is very powerful, I'd say. So this dark blue is very vibrant, as you can tell, and it stays that way. This is pretty much almost dry, but I'll also be using some droplet techniques and some modeling paste through a stencil, which you'll see in a second. So a lot going on. Now, deciding on what stencil to use was kind of hard. I wanted to use the hearts, but they were just too bulky for this layout, so I ended up going with this little floral stencil using my modeling paste. And this floral stencil is from Joann's. I don't know what it's called. I took it out of the packaging and then threw it out, of course. So what I really wanted to do was use this on the dark blue so it popped, and then fade it into the background, the blue and white background. So in the close-up photos, hopefully you can see that, but if not, you can check out Wild Whispers blogs for more photos, because I'll definitely have them there if they're not in the video, because I can't remember which ones I ended up putting in and which ones I didn't. So I'm going to put that in 2 different spots on this layout, and those will also coordinate with like my cluster area, so we'll have a diagonal pattern. I also don't know what I'm going to do for my title as of right now. I want to use a very bold title to go with like the bold mixed media background I have, so we'll touch on that later again. So after cleaning up all of the mixed media mess that I just made, of course I'm not done, so I'm going to let the modeling paste dry for a few minutes, and then I'm going to do something crazy. I've never used Inca Gold before in a prominent way. I've used it in subtle ways, but like this was different. So I stick my finger in and I'm just rubbing it around in streak-like patterns like my paint was, just with my finger though. And I'm also using it on the bottom layer of my photo cluster here. And so that adds a little bit of gold flecks. So originally I do it just on the blue paint, and then I realized I want the gold all over the paper, especially since the main streak there is covered. So I ended up just smearing it on. It worked beautifully on this paper. I had very little warping despite how watery this paint was, and putting all this other stuff on top of it. These papers are amazing for mixed media. I did not use my heat gun though. This was all air dry. So be careful if you do use a heat gun, because I have not done that yet. So I'm using the Navy Rocket Age, whatever the heck color this is, from October Afternoon to add some sprinkles. And then I'm going to use some Heidi Swap Color Shine in the gold color to add some more sparkle. And even though it's a different shade of gold than the Inca Gold I just used, it still really pops against the navy blue color, which I really like. So I have to put that aside to dry, and then I'll be able to mount my photo on there once it's actually ready to go and dry. So I'm thinking about placement now, and I'm thinking about how I want to do my stamping in the background like I mentioned earlier. So I pull out 3 stamps, but I only end up using 2. I almost wish I did more stamps, but I didn't want to overwhelm the photo. So now I'm going to test out some ink colors. I pull out 2 shades of blue. Neither of them make it through the final cut. I also have my black ink pad, and I also pull out 2 gray ink pads. I really wish the gray would have worked, but since it wasn't as opaque as I wanted it to, which you'll see me try them all, don't worry. I really like the blue in this one as well, but the way it looked next to the dark blue paint on the paper, it didn't look great. So I ended up trying the black. Of course I like the black, but I didn't know if I was going to bring in more black elements or not. So I'm not going to do that yet, and then I find the gray colors that I wanted to try. And one is like a green gray, like a really ugly gray. Definitely not for this layout. And then the other one is a cloudy gray, but like also not meant for this layout. So I'll save those for another day. And now I'm going to try one of them. Make sure this is dry before I start stamping. And now I'm going to plan out where my stamps will go. So I end up trying the gray just because I thought it'd work. And I realized it just is not opaque enough for this bold background that I have. So I end up going back over it with the black, and that works just fine. A nice little cover-up, which is great to use with clear stamps. And then I decided I want a little bit more sparkle on my layout. So I grabbed the gold polka dot foiled tissue paper and put that in a little strip underneath the bottom half of my photo. And then I'm going to have to glue that down with some ATG gun tape. And that adds quite a little bit of fun pizzazz to the paper. So now I am going to do some more stamping with my black ink. With this little chevron piece, I double stamp it because it ends up looking really cute. And now I'm starting to build my clusters. So I have one house to the right of the photo and another house to the left of the photo. I pull in a bunch of other embellishments, but I don't end up using those because they're not exactly what I was looking for. But so far this is coming together just how I planned, but I didn't really have a plan, so I'm just winging it at this point. I also have these giant letters. They're from Spritz, is the company who makes these, and I purchased them at Target, so you can check them out there. And they're a gold foil, ginormous letter sticker. So I'm going to stamp a few more cluster pieces after I glue down my photo here. So I have the bottom right cluster and top left cluster. The top left cluster still needs stamps, but I'll come back to that. The bottom right cluster is going to get additional stamping as soon as I do the top left. So I do a couple more of the chevrons, and then on the top and the bottom, and then I'll also do one more of the little houses in the top left. Originally, I thought I was just going to settle on the title that says home, but I thought that was a little bit too vague. It was just kind of basic, and I don't want to be too basic, so I decided to up the ante with a couple little additional items. So first, with these letter stickers, they have to be glued down with liquid adhesive or they will peel off easily, and I don't want them falling off. So I come up with my fine line bottle and put those in, just slipping some glue under one side because one side's enough, honestly, most of the time. And another thing with metallic letters, they are so picky about being laid down. Like, they'll get creased easily, they'll get like streaks on them from touching them, so they're a little bit annoying, but I really like how they match the gold all over the layout and how they really worked with Wild Whisper's blue theme in this collection. Now I'm looking at some tiny phrase stickers because I really like how phrase stickers just add a little bit more to the story almost. I'm not going to show you my journaling on this layout. I always do that after the fact because it usually takes me a while to think of what to say. I'd also like to point out that in this video, the background paper from Wild Whisper seems to be very washed out. If I had a better auto editing system, I'd be able to brighten it up a little bit and show you the true blue color that it is, but you'll have to check out the photos on their blog for a better indication of the color of the paper. So now I'm deciding on some last minute details. So this is where I up the ante with my title, and I grab out this little flare from the Crafty Pocket, and then I grab some Tim Holtz tiny letter stickers that say is, so my title is going to be This Is Home, which is really cute, but something that's sentimental but not too vague, I would say. Like, if I put something that no one would understand except myself, it'd be weird unless I journaled about it, but I'm not a big journaling fan, so I'm just going to keep it simple and clean and say this is home, and then describe why it's home, I guess, in my journaling. But that pretty much finishes up this layout. I'm going to add a bunch of the beautiful Wild Whisper sequins that you can find in their shop, and I'm going to scatter those up and around all of my little clusters. And I hope you guys enjoyed this layout. I do have some close-up photos at the end, and I'll have a link to Wild Whisper's store down below so you can pick up all these amazing products. I mean, the mixed media was so receptive on this piece of paper. I was quite surprised and really happy that it did. So be sure to grab a set for yourself, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.